Hidden Killers Live with Tony Bruschi, Stacey Cole, and Todd Michaels.
Lots of cases that we have been covering here, and you guys have a lot of questions. And we have a lot of answers because we're Radio Shack. No, we have, the same sort of answers, that we've been talking about. We have insight. We have, opinions just like you guys. We're going to discuss a lot of the cases that we've been covering here over the last several weeks that we're continuing to cover. We're going to do 3 different ones today: the Reiner murders, the Tepe case, and also the new civil suit that the families are bringing against WSU in regards to the Bryan Kohberger situation. And you are welcome to weigh in the comment section as we go through this today with your questions. We're going to really focus on getting to them, discussing them, and going through it. Today, we're going to start out with the Reiner case. We're going to be doing something a little different here. Stacey, Todd, and me. We're going to be answering those questions. So throw them out there. Look, none of us are lawyers. None of us are psychiatrists or police or anything like that. So we're going to do our best to just kind of give you our honest take on where we individually think various aspects of these cases are going. It's a tragic case, the Reiner case. It's hitting on addiction, mental illness, family dynamics, wealth, enabling, the limits of love, all of it. So let's get to some of those questions that you guys have been posting out there on our videos. And as we go through this today live, please do post yours as well. So let's start out here. Rob and Michele spent years and a fortune trying to save Nick Reiner. 17 rehab stints. Some say maybe even more than that. That's what we know of. That's what's on the record. Then there's the movie, keeping him in the guest house. The question here is, at what point does helping become enabling? Because it sounds like they never cut him off, and now they're dead. I'm not saying it's their fault, but I wonder if parents in that situation can ever win. That is the question that our first one here posed on YouTube. I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Could they have won in this situation? Is there anything that they would have looked back on and said, I would have done this differently? What do you guys think, Stacey?
I'm going to tap in here. First of all, forgive me. I'm a little emotional today. I got a cat thing going on. But I'm going to flip the script a little bit on you, Tony. Because Todd and I don't have children. We have fur babies. Yeah. So you have a child. And I don't want you to go too deep into this scenario, but let's put you in Rob's position. Say your daughter is going off the fucking rails. And I just used the F-bomb. Sorry, I haven't had much sleep. What do? You can't just cut your child off. You just can't. And that parental pull is in there so strong, so hard. How do you just say, I can't keep doing this anymore? I don't know that some parents can do it ever. I'll
address it. Todd, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm interested in hearing your take on it because I can only look at this from somebody who's been in relationships and maybe been in a relationship with somebody who was an addict and how difficult that was. I, even in that situation, found myself putting up with more than I probably should have for a long time.
And if you love somebody.
Right. And so at some point I did say, okay, enough's enough. I got to look out for me. But that's a different animal. It's not being a parent. It's not your child. It's not somebody you're bringing into the world. So I'm really interested in hearing what you would have to say if you were in the situation.
First of all, the dynamic is extremely different. And it's a dynamic you don't understand until you made a person. It just is. It is what it is. I mean, I didn't know how that felt until I was 30. And I had my daughter, and I don't know. I mean, I don't think it kicks in everybody. I certainly think it kicked in the Reiners. They were there, come hell or high water for Nick. But I think healthy brains, healthy parents, it kicks in, and it's like a switch. It flips, and suddenly, the world that is about you, and even the most giving philanthropist, you can be the most empathetic person, but there's an element where the world is still about you.
Right.
When you make the person and you have the person, that's gone. It's just like, boom, gone. I mean, there's elements, but your free time, your free energy, all of that, it's gone. I mean, you are now focusing on that person and making sure that they are going to, be cared for and have everything they need, up and through them getting through the house at the age of 18 and then after, because you love your kid. No matter what age, they're still going to be your kid, no matter what. But I mean, there's a lot of parallels that are similar to being in a relationship with someone that you love and you care about, but there certainly is a different bond there when it's like part you. It just is. So I do not blame the Reiners in any way, shape, or form for them doing every damn thing that they possibly could. And there's two parallel worlds I think you can look at here with that. You can be on the outside and you can say, they should have done this. They should have done that. They should have been more strict. They should have, coulda, shoulda, woulda. And you can be that parent and you can know damn well that those people are right. You can agree with them. You can make those same judgment calls on somebody else's kid too.
Right.
But when it's your own and when you're you're that close to the fire, you're willing to be burned alive by it if it's going to shield your kid first from being burned, even if they're going to get toasted too. You'll go first because you'll give them that extra little bit of time. And I think that's really where the Reiners were. I think their situation is really difficult because they thought they were getting the expert advice from people, and some of it was good advice. It's not all the treatment here that was bad. There certainly, I think, probably was some treatment that might have been questionable in what they were getting. But I think for the most part, everything, was on the up and up. Treatment requires two things. It requires, number one, obviously the treatment to be carried out in a responsible way. And then it requires participation. Just putting the person there and having them exist is not treatment. They have to willingly participate. And Nick clearly never did. Rob and Michele clearly did. They were being part of that treatment. But if the person who needs it is not going to participate, you're screwed. But that doesn't end your love or your care for that kid. And it sounds like they did try to put up boundaries at some points. It sounds like they did try to say, okay, good luck. Hopefully you're going to go out there in the world and you're going to come back alive. And he did most of the time. But they knew, and I can't imagine going through that. I can't imagine sitting there every day knowing your kid is homeless on the streets and using and out of control. And you're just waiting every day for that call to come in saying, we found him behind the dumpster. He OD'd.
Yeah.
And they were also given little glimpses along the way of good times, right? When he seemed to be off drugs, when the medications that he was on seemed to be working, like they had glimpses of some good times with him. And I'm sure that made them want to hold on to the hope even longer. It's, they're those little pieces that kind of came into the fray with them. And when you get that little bit of hope, you're willing to hold on a little bit longer. And
so hope kills you.
Yeah.
Which is what keeps people in abusive and shitty relationships.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
It's that exact same thing. It's it's good. And a lot of addicts and some mentally ill, depending on what is the affliction is. Personality disorders, I should say more specifically. Personality disorders are, because there's two different things. Personality disorders and mental illness, they are different things.
Correct.
And a lot of people don't know that. I didn't know that for a long time, but they are very different. And the personality disorder type folks, which I would guess Nick probably has some of that going on. They manipulate and they know how to flip that script pretty quick. Mm-hmm. They can sense when the rope is getting short, when everybody's tolerance for them is getting low. And suddenly, and they know, okay, better back this up a little bit so I get some of that trust back and I get a little bit more of that rope to screw with everyone's life on. And then once you think, oh, things are going good, it looks like they're participating in their recovery or whatever it may be, they're just getting better, then boom, chaos comes back in, and then the rest of us are on the line. that are like trying to help and be the caregivers, unfortunately, then we're just yanked around for that roller coaster. And more times than not, the reality is, and this is a scary stat, it's the caregiver that dies before the person they're actually caring for. And that's true not only like in an addict type situation or a mental illness type situation, it's especially true in an elderly type situation where you have some folks that are up there in age, 80s, 90s, as a spouse. Quite often it's the initially healthy spouse that's taking care of the unhealthy spouse that ends up dying before the one who had the initial ailment.
Right.
Because of, all the stress and everything that goes into doing that. And look, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that or they shouldn't do that by any means. That's, it's kind of your plight if you're there with that person and if you don't have, another outside source to give the care. But it can kill you. It can easily kill you. In this sort of case with Reiner, obviously, it wasn't just natural death of stress that killed them. It was, Nick killed them. But yeah, it can certainly, take you down some roads that I don't think anyone ever sees coming with people like this. So could they have won at the end of the day when we look at the story or the question? No, not under the current situation. They had the conservatorship for that year. And I think we learned. Were you guys surprised by just how insane the conservatorship laws are?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's literally, it's set up to the place where if you get the conservatorship, if you follow through with the conservatorship and you provide housing, you provide food, you do anything, you basically take that person from a catatonic state off the street drooling where they're going to die because they can't feed themselves, because feeding is a prerequisite or basically a disqualifier from the conservatorship. If you feed them, that disqualifies the conservatorship. So if you follow through, you get the conservatorship, you get the person on a good path. After a year, it goes away. If you're checking the boxes, you can't keep it going, even though that person very likely still needs that in place so they don't go off the rails. It's designed to continue throwing people off the rails.
Because if you succeed, it doesn't work anymore. So what's the point of, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. I don't get that.
Exactly.
And also, they could not win at all because basically two things were going to happen. Either this outcome was going to happen because he was on those rails in that direction, or he was going to be on the street alone and die. So if you talk about could they ever win? No, it was going to be a bad outcome any way you look at it.
Yeah. The only, and look, they seem to be exhausting every option they could think of. So who knows what else they would have come up with, in-home care, maybe that would have been the next step, but I don't know. That's a little different when you're dealing with an addict and something like to have that's more so for elder care or, something of that nature. There's not like a lot of in-home addict care that go. I don't think anybody really be signing up for that career path.
I was just going to say,
I certainly wouldn't.
Would you like to do this for the rest of your life? No, I don't think so. So, again, I think they were damned if they do, damned if they don't. I don't know what could have changed in this situation. He was mentally ill. I believe he probably has personality disorders. He used, which then exacerbated all of those problems 10 times worse. So no, as long as Nick was not going to participate, they were fucked. Yeah. I think that's just kind of the end of it. Was there a path for Nick to be better? Yes, but Nick had to choose to go down it and Nick said no.
Somebody was going to die at his hands. Yeah. Somebody somewhere.
The only person that was going to stop that was Nick.
Yeah.
And he chose not to. Sarah in Atlanta, I keep seeing people online compare this to the Menendez brothers, and I don't get it at all. The Menendez case had allegations of abuse and planning. This looks impulsive. An argument at the party, drugs, schizophrenia. Why are we even making that comparison other than rich kid kills rich parents in LA? I agree. I don't know that there is really a parallel here other than in title alone.
Do you see one, Stacey?
Oh, I don't know that this was impulsive. I think just my gut says this was something he's thought about. He thought about this on several occasions. I just don't think you wake up one day and think you're going to kill your millionaire parents.
Thought about or planned, because that's two kind of different things. I mean, it's like one thing to be, here's an example. Let's just say someone is going through a divorce. Let's just say it's nasty and you don't like each other and you have really nasty thoughts about the other person being pecked to death by a pack of wild geese at a park. And let's say in that fantasy, it's kind of like Home Alone and you're the lady with the birdseed and they're filled with glue and you're like, just throwing the shit out there and they get pecked to death. I'm not saying there's anyone in this conversation right now that may have or have not had.
I never said anything about him being pecked to death. Do not put words in my mouth.
About you. Why are you making this go to you? I don't. Let's just say, okay, so whatever the scenario may be, it's probably not being pecked to death by geese, but let's just say you have those thoughts because you're just kind of in rage mode and you're fuming and you're trying to process this shit. And that's where most of us will have thoughts of some sort of not good nature for the other person. Especially for a moment
wronged.
In time.
Yes,
exactly.
You've been horribly wronged. And deceived.
It's human. And in 99.9%, nobody acts it out. It's too difficult to get geese lined up like that. I've tried it. I mean, the local geese dealers, the parks departments are not cool with this sort of shit.
They poop a lot.
Exactly. So there's hindrances. But that's where it is. It's just a thought. And then there's, well, let's figure out his or her schedule and let's stalk them down. And then let's have a pack of 42 geese in the back of the van that I rented from Menards, ready to fly out of there and attack at a moment's notice when I discover them picking up dinner from the Chick-fil-A. That's planning. That's premeditated. That's planning. Obviously, it's a very ridiculous situation. But it sounds better than like stalking someone in a driveway when we're talking a hypothetical. Yeah. So one is planned. One is just there. To me, I feel like Nick was probably more on the first, where it's like fantasy of going after anybody that wronged him in his mind or told him no or whatever. And somewhere along the line there, I'm going to guess it wasn't just the med change. My conjecture here would be med change and using, and I'm going to guess meth, as a lot of people have, that sparked anger, and then that moved, essentially, he kind of drug that fantasy down, if you're envisioning a computer, from just somewhere on the desktop into the actionable category. And suddenly, boom, we're doing this. Sparked by the drugs and the byproduct of a med change at the same time. That's kind of where I'm at with him.
I would tend to agree with that a little bit. I don't know if it was really all that planned.
Yeah.
But I think he always had it in the back of his mind that something could happen. And
it was an option.
It was an option, right? In order to get out of all the stuff that his parents were putting him through and asking him to do and all the meds and blah, blah, blah. I think you're right, Tony. In the back of his mind, it was something that it might be an outcome that he could live with, if you pardon the pun.
Like it's there. Yeah.
Right.
And it got accessed under other circumstances. If you take the using out of it, again, we don't know if he was at the moment in time. That'll come out. But I don't know that the med change was enough to fuel this. Was it part of the recipe? Probably. But I mean, the using might have been enough too. After you've had, and then take into consideration too, this brain has been fried 50 times to Tuesday.
Right.
So it's already had its damage done, so it's not going to necessarily operate as it should, even on a good day. So I think there's a lot of factors at play there.
Do we know if the Menendez brothers, if they were drug users? I don't remember.
I don't believe that was ever part of the case. And I don't know the answer to that question for sure. But I don't believe that was ever brought up as part of it. I mean, one of the big thing with Menendez was the lack of remorse. That's what really a lot of people hang their hats on with them to this day. I know Coffindaffer does, and we disagree on that case quite a bit, where they didn't show remorse. They it's on the record with some witnesses that they were kind of bragging about it, that they were kind of gleeful, and they went on the spending spree and they were living it up after the parents were dead.
But in light of what we know now about potential sexual abuse, you can understand those feelings, right?
If I was being raped by my father, and it was, an ongoing thing for years, and I know that he'd been doing it to other people too, and it reached the breaking point and I killed him, and I suddenly had access to his funds, I'd probably be going on a shopping spree too. I don't know that I'd be all that heartbroken.
Exactly.
Does that make you an evil monster? No. It's not healthy, without a doubt, that someone did that and then was able to just kind of move along the path of life like that. It's probably not the best way to go about it. It's how they did, but does it make them evil? No, I think it's you put people in horrible circumstances and you abuse the shit out of them. Yeah, they're not going to act normal.
It's like what Whitney Houston said. It's not right, but it's okay.
I'm gonna make it anyway. It's not right. You just said that so I would go into song.
Damn right.
That's right.
Damn it.
You didn't know this, but Stacy and I had a bet off the air how long it would take before you started singing.
See, I thought it was going to be Michael Jackson, but
what would have been the cue for Michael Jackson?
Oh, who knows where we'd go.
I didn't know if there was like a saying or like a phrase in this story.
Does there ever need to be? Tony just goes off into Michael Jackson land sometimes.
Here's the most important thing for anybody out there listening. You are not alone.
Oh my God.
I am here with you. That creepy video where there's a shirt off in it. Yeah. That.
Ooh.
I forgot about
Michael
that.
Jackson
Thank you. Thank you.
Marie, and then Lisa Marie Presley's in it too, and he's like in a theater. It was I liked that song. That was a good song from the history.
See, this is what we deal with behind the scenes because we're all radio people, and
it's my brain going everywhere.
Yeah, and I relate to everything in songs, so everything has a soundtrack to it. Yeah. So.
But seriously, honest to God, I know I kind of said it as a joke, but the impact, the reaction that we've been getting for weeks on this story from you guys out there, and people not being alone in this, thank you guys for sharing your stories, because I think there's a lot of people who are hearing everybody's comments and hearing a lot of people have reached out with their stories and shared them online, either on our Substack or on YouTube. And there's a lot of people that are this is resonating with, and they're feeling, okay, I'm not alone. So if it empowers people to be more bold, or to make decisions that maybe not be the easiest to make, I hope in some way it's helped, because it's not a rich people problem. It's not a poor people problem. It's an every person problem. And anybody who's dealing with people like this, it's all too real and all too difficult to deal with. So
it's very isolating. And I think what we've seen is that a lot of people are freaking out because there aren't, no resources for people to go to. And while some communities do have some good outreach, for the most part, people are hitting brick walls. They cannot get the help that they desperately want. It's not that they need the help. They want the help and they can't get it. Yes,
you're exact. And there's a limit to the help that they can get.
Yep.
And the reality is, with something like this, their hands are tied at the end of the day, because the person who needs the help has to want the help, and they're usually the least likely to want it and to accept it. So you can have the army of people outside, but if that one person is still saying no, and they can demonstrate that they can house or feed themselves, well, according to California, they're A-OK in their book. So yeah, it's if anything, this case, I said it from the first video we did, let this be a learning experience. Let this expose how broken our system is for everyone who doesn't know that. And maybe this can start to be a path to get some change going on, because this affects far too many people and they scream it to the wind every day. And people don't like to dive too deep into it because it's icky and it's uncomfortable and nobody wants to think about their family being like this. And it just kind of gets buried. And then those who are closest, who are going to fight to the death, are kind of left alone and isolated. So.
There are a lot of families like this. And as I was watching the Reiner situation, I've got a brother who is an addict, and he was functional. But the amount of torment that he placed upon all of us was immense. And he was a thriving adult. He made a lot of money. He also got busted by the DEA. They showed up one morning with a battering ram and burst into his house and grabbed him. He was making generic Viagra before
who doesn't have a side hustle making making ED drugs in their basement, you know? I mean,
yeah. But this was
how the fuck do you even do that? Like, where do you go to get the supplies to make generic Viagra in your, and why?
Somebody in Belize was doing something with him, and that's about as far as I can go into detail, but there was a lot going on there. Yeah. And it was just this driving force into everything that he did. Every holiday that we got together, he was always off doing something else. And this was well before, cell phones and technology. So who knows who he was talking to on my mom's phone. And he was trying to pull all of us into it. And it just becomes the focal point of the family. It's no longer this family unit that gets together and has hot chocolate on Christmas. It's what's Steve doing in the corner right now? Yeah. Who's he talking to?
Look what Nick did. I mean, he normalized this so much, they made a fucking movie about it. And in the movie, the people who are trying to save him are the villains. And it's like, looking at it now, it's just this horrifying thing to think about. But it's like, God damn, the power of the manipulative addict.
They take over the entire family.
And it's insidious. And it's slow building. It's the frog in the pot.
Yep.
I've never boiled a frog in a pot. That's a weird analogy that people make a lot, but
yeah, they do.
I mean, I get the lobster one. I've done lobsters before, but I try to kill them first. Who's boiling frogs?
What kind of crazy bastard are you that you take a live animal and put it into a boiling pot? And I know we do that with lobsters, but what are you doing with frogs?
Yeah, I don't know. I like frogs. Like I have two that swim in my pool, and like. And I enjoy it. Like I swim with them.
Cute.
I'm not even kidding. It's like they go out there, they live in like a little area, and I don't know how they survive in the salt water, but they do.
They do.
I've removed them a gazillion times thinking it will hurt them, but they just keep coming back. So I'm like, okay, well, you're part of the pool now. And so we swim together. I swear to God, it's kind of funny. When I've been out there in summer, swim around, I'll be hanging out. Sometimes I'll just be sitting by the edge of the pool with my phone because, I can't relax without staring at my screen. And then right behind me, there's the frog, just like over my shoulder, kind of like hanging out like a dog. And I'm not even kidding. It's crazy. But again, it's like, no, they don't have a name. I should name them. I wonder if Harper has. But they're just, they're neat little creatures. And I can't imagine boiling one, like, hey, I'm hungry. Your lunch. Bye.
And somebody in our comment stuff said, people eat frog legs. Yes. Hopefully they're not alive when they're being cooked. Hopefully. Tony, you're the chef here.
Well, sometimes I've been in my pool and I have gotten hungry, and that's why there's only one frog now.
Oh, Bruce, hang on. Bruce says, I did research this. If you put a frog in a pot and turn up the heat, the frog will jump out when it gets hot. Useful metaphor. Yes. Recipe for frog soup. No.
There you go, everybody. Anyone who is sitting here watching this as there is a massive winter blizzard about to blanket half of the country, if you were thinking about making frog soup, now you know the answer. Not a good idea. Stick with the cream of mushroom and call it a day. Let's move on to another case that certainly a lot of people are talking about. 4 families, 1 lawsuit, and a university that allegedly knew exactly what Bryan Kohberger was before he killed anyone. On January 7th, the families of Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen, and Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin filed a 126-page wrongful death lawsuit against Washington State University. And the allegations are brutal. 13 formal complaints against Kohberger in a single semester. Women so terrified they needed security escorts to their cars. Staff creating secret email systems to warn each other when he was around. A professor who allegedly told colleagues that if they gave this man a PhD, they'd eventually hear about him stalking and SAing his students. And according to the lawsuit, WSU didn't do anything meaningful to stop him, at least not quick enough, according to the lawsuit. They did, in fact, eventually fire him at the end of the semester. So he did last about 1 semester. They kept paying him through that semester, kept housing him, kept giving him access to the students until 4 kids were dead in a house 8 miles away. Is it as simple as that? I know it sounds lovely in a soundbite. I can make it real exciting and real like, damn you, WSU. But at the end of the day, I got to be honest on this one, and I said it in a video yesterday. I don't know how responsible WSU is for any of this. I mean, to prove that they could have foreseen him murdering 4 people at a different university with students that were not part of WSU simply because he was creepy on their campus, because he was making people uncomfortable on their campus. I think that's quite a bridge to cross. Could you have fired him? Could you have done something sooner to make the people on your own campus more comfortable? Yeah, probably. But could you have done anything that would have really foreseen or prevented this? Prevented being the key factor here. That's a crystal ball. I don't know. In my mind, I don't know. And I'm all about holding things accountable and people accountable for ignoring problems and all that, but if anything, maybe act a little bit sooner when you got people complaining. But would you have prevented a quadruple homicide? I think that's up in the air. I don't know. Stacey?
I think discovery is going to be interesting here. I think if we see emails of them suppressing some of this, if they're trying to sweep it under the rug, we're going to have some culpability here. But I was in agreement that, go after the university until you brought that point up yesterday. And I went, shit.
Yeah.
What could they, why are they responsible? How can you hold them responsible? He was in the community.
For the murders. Could I mean, if someone wants to, like, I think someone has a lawsuit, but again, you're going to have to prove something that some way that this affected you that would have hurt your ability to make income, your well-being, something of that nature.
No.
So, I mean, I guess someone could, claim, some sort of emotional trauma or something from working with him or being cornered by, I don't, but I mean, even that's a bit of a stretch. I mean, shitty. I mean, more traumatic now that the big picture, I mean, had he not killed those people, would anybody remember Kohberger at this point? Probably, but would it be as big of a deal? Or would it be, remember that creepy guy? Yeah, he was creepy. He was weird.
Yeah, and we've, all 3 of us have worked with creepy guys that we all talk about when we're, not on the air, Yeah.
But I mean, but do I look back on any of that going, well, that affected me in a way that has detrimented my life in some sort of way where I couldn't get work or couldn't work or whatever. I mean,
or
you
had
have
to start your own company.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not the motive for it. I radio paid shit. That's what I did that for. It wasn't necessarily the shitty people, because there's shitty people in every aspect of work, and no matter what industry you're in. And that was kind of my point yesterday on this, was exactly that. Okay, if we're going to hold them responsible, then we have to hold like every employer responsible for every single loose cannon that ever gets employed anywhere when they go and commit some sort of crime, completely out of the purview of the workplace, even if they were acting weird at work. I mean, unless at work that guy was saying, I'm going to go kill these students, and they ignored it, I don't know that you have much of a case. And look, I love those families. I want the best for them. I've communicated with them. Some have reached out to the show before and talked about their experiences off the air. I've never put anybody from those families on the air. I don't want to. Because I don't feel comfortable doing it. I just don't like doing that. And no offense to somebody who does, but it's a private thing, and I think we can discuss, but this is them. But I have talked with several off the air. I don't know. I don't know. I want justice for them. I just don't know that suing WSU is, I don't know.
I don't think WSU is responsible for those murders. I think we all agreed that if he would have been fired earlier, he would have found another location to do this. There would probably be murders someplace else. I do think, though, that it sheds a light on passing of the buck kind of thing. And this happened with the Devil's Den case as well, where people... 13 is a lot in 3 months. As somebody who's worked in leadership and also HR in the past, that would not fly.
Shouldn't fly.
And we don't know the ratio of students who just didn't like him to faculty who had a problem, and what those grievances really hold. We don't know, and that does play a part into it. But even if you filter out the ones of the typical day-to-day, I don't like this guy because he's unfair, whatever. If you filter that out, 13 is still a lot. And I think if nothing else, this may shed a light on the responsibility of educators to do something when something is said, and really look into what's being said, really investigate if this person deserves to have that job for 3 months, even if it was just 3 months.
I agree. I definitely agree there. And maybe that's more the point of this than anything else. And maybe that's what those families would say if we asked them. Maybe I should ask them. I think I will. I have not done so yet.
Well, and somebody,
but to get their perspective on where they're coming from on this, because I agree with that. Because it feels like the protocol that the school had, and I don't mean to interrupt you, Stacey. I want to hear you right after I finish this thought. The thought process there being, it seems their protocol was, okay, well, we'll register this. We got these complaints. It's on the record now, but we're not going to, it's like but we'll reevaluate it in time. Now, I don't know if that's truly what their protocol is, but that seems to be how it was in action, where, okay, we got this at the end of the semester. We're going to reevaluate. We're going to retool and see what we got going on here. And if enough of this adds up, we're going to take some action. And they took some action. They did. They fired him. So it's not like they didn't take action. It wasn't the murders that forced him to be fired. They fired him before they knew he did anything wrong. So they did take action. Was it quick enough? I guess is the question at play here. Again, it's a difficult one with him because he wasn't, as far as we know, as far as the evidence that has come out, and maybe we'll learn more things in discovery, but as of right now, being creepy is not a crime.
Great point by one of our viewers. I don't know if you see that, but sadly, I don't think the case will get to discovery. It'll be dismissed. I do not think WSU duty extends to the plaintiffs.
I agree. I mean, I think that's probably what's going to happen, honestly. Should this be parsed out more? Yes. But maybe that's not in a lawsuit. But unfortunately, sometimes a lawsuit is the only mechanism that gets a meaningful change to happen in institutions.
And that's...
Maybe... but it shouldn't, but it does.
That's where I was going to go. Somebody in our chat yesterday when we were talking to our attorney, Eric Faddis. They're saying these families are money hungry. And I immediately perked up and was going to get in there. And I didn't have a chance to say what I wanted to say. But I don't think the families are money hungry.
No.
Not at all. They are trying to change something. Like what you just talked about. Will it change the HR playbook? You know, that when you've got somebody who is like this, are they going to do something sooner? Can they do something sooner? We don't know what they did behind the scenes. I think that's what we'd like to find out. When we send our kids to school, to colleges, universities, we want to know that they're around safe people. You know, this is one step after high school. This isn't quite the real world yet. These kids are, they're having fun. They're doing all kinds of stuff. They're not really adults yet, even though they're not experienced in life. I want to know that, if you send your kid to school, there's not some serial murder, in the,
Well, and how would you know
lesson plans?
Either? I mean, how would WSU have any idea?
Well, but he starts
they get
checking
weird
boxes.
people all the time.
They do.
It's just, how do you know the answer to that? You don't. You
don't,
just
but let's learn
don't.
from this. Yeah, and I think that's what the lawsuit is we need to learn from what happened here so that this never happens again. Or if we start to see something happening, we have something in place because we did better.
Well, and that's, I think it shines light on so many of the systems that we have because I think a lot of us think that these systems are in place. And in some cases, we're told they are in place because there are systems in place that are designed to catch these sort of things. But they're more so just there in terms of mechanism. It takes doing. So the see something, say something, that exists. And there was mechanism, there was systems and pieces and times in our society where see something, say something didn't exist. It was like, see something, say something. It's like, fuck off. Good luck. That's your problem. But now we have, see something, say something. Great. Okay. We're seeing something. We're saying something. It's being documented. And that's where it stops.
Yeah, what are you going to do about it?
The doing something is the part that it seems we're finding so many institutions are having issues with. Everybody else seems to be doing their part and following the protocol and following if this happens, do this. And then they don't do anything. Or what they do is exactly their plan. And that may have been their system that was in place was, at the end of the semester, we will retool and evaluate this. And they did, and they fired him. Maybe that needs to be re-examined. Maybe it shouldn't be at the end of the semester evaluate. And I don't know if that is how their system worked, but that seems to be what happened here. So should that be adjusted? Should that be changed? Should that get a second look? Probably. But I don't know how you're going to get from that to we didn't do this to he went and killed those people because we didn't do anything. They could have fired him, and who knows if he would have left or not. He may have just moved to another apartment and still done what he was going to do. Right. Maybe even sooner. Yeah. That's a crystal ball, and it's nothing a jury is going to figure out, and it's nothing anyone's going to figure out because it's an unknown. That I don't know how you punish an institution or fine an institution for that big of an unknown.
But hopefully it's a wake-up call for all institutions to take a look at their protocol. What do we do when we've got somebody in our system that is acting in this manner? Are we going to allow 13 complaints against somebody? Are we going to maybe draw the line at 5? Are we going to draw the line at 3? Have a committee that meets and gets together and, you bring in people. And you could have witch hunts at that point. But if somebody is giving off those vibes, they're not working well within the system. Do they deserve to have that job?
Because it feels like in so many institutions, it's like 72 strikes and you're out, and even then it's like, well, this might be a bit
Once
much.
You have tenure, you can pretty much do whatever you want.
Exactly.
And I've had
that.
Yep. When I was in school, I had a professor who had tenure. He wasn't even teaching the class. It was an organic chemistry class. He wasn't teaching the class. He was worried. He had lupus. So he was doing lupus research. He was trying to pick out the geniuses in the class, recruit them to do lupus research. We didn't learn shit.
Yeah.
I got a C- in that class. I couldn't tell you anything about organic chemistry because all he did was he wanted to focus on lupus, which is a noble cause. But I was in that class to learn organic chemistry. He had tenure. He could do whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
Nobody stopped him.
There's a lot of out of control, I think, that goes on in our systems that we just kind of go with, well, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the way it is. That's why these institutions are falling apart at the seams, because that's the way it is.
I have a present for you guys. I'm the one who always puts up the images and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and I thought, well, what should I share about Kohberger today?
What
and
did
I
you
know
do?
that I've got Stacy's favorite photo of Kohberger that I'm going to share. So if you're not watching this, you can check it out on YouTube later on. But
what are you up
this
to?
Is for you. This is for you.
No, the muffin top. The muffin top are with the Levi's.
With the tag on, too. With like the TJ Maxx tag.
Yeah.
Whatever it is there.
He just doesn't have a really good ass. I'm sorry.
He doesn't have an ass. It's like, it's not even there. It's like completely devoid of ass.
But I don't want to hear another word about women and their muffin tops. That boy's got a muffin top. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
He's such an awkward dude.
Yeah, he is.
And like, why? Like,
I like awkward. Awkward's okay. Weird's okay. I love you guys. There's someone that, that I, in my world, that's awkward. I'm good with that. I love that.
Come on, everybody. I want to take a picture. No, he's just, I guess my question for Bryan Kohberger on that picture would be, why don't you delete that off your phone? Like, why is that on there? Like, I get like sometime I had a mole on my back last year that I got rid of, and it was a lot of like trying to like get a shot of it. But it looks like really weird pictures when you're just taking pictures of flesh, and I was like, okay, and I got it. But I deleted them off my phone because I'm like, if somebody, for whatever reason, if I like die in a car accident or somebody's going through my phone, like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's a picture of me trying to see my mole. But I mean, one could mistake it for something else too, or think maybe there's something else going on. And it's like, I just wouldn't want that there for any sort of confusion.
Exactly.
Why would you keep that on your phone unless you're going back and looking at that or something and admiring yourself? Or you just don't give a shit. I don't know. Maybe it's don't give a shit. Because
hard
who's
to get
gonna look
into
at your
this.
phone?
Hard to get into this, the inside of the mind of somebody that could go through with what he did. And somebody in our comment section is upset that we're, making fun of him, that we're vile. You know what? He killed 4 people. He's fair game. He's fair game at this point.
Somebody is mad that we're making fun of him?
Yeah, seriously, making fun of his looks. Oh my God, you people are vile. Well, yeah.
Well,
He's
sorry.
vile. He's vile. And it doesn't make us right, but
if that's making you upset, I don't leave your house because there's a big bad world out there. And if Kohberger's muffin top joking upsets you, good luck, snowflake. All right, on to another one. And this is another case here that we've been covering for a bit of time here, and it continues to get more and more crazy. Really by the day, the Tepe murders. Michael McKee, vascular surgeon, no criminal record, allegedly drives 300 miles to kill his ex-wife and her new husband while their kids sleep down the hall. The marriage lasted 7 months. The divorce was 8 years ago, and yet here we are. We've gotten a lot of questions and comments from you on this case, so let's get into some of these. Here's the first one. 7 months. That marriage lasted 7 months and allegedly cost 4 people their parents. I need someone to explain how a grown man builds his entire identity around a woman who was barely his wife. Oh, this is not Tep. This is McKee.
Right.
See, I told you they are so easy to screw up. I get these cases mixed up all the time.
Somebody is confusing this case with the other case, because in this case we have
McKee. That's correct.
McKee. Two are dead, not 4. 4 aren't dead.
Correct.
We have 2
so
are dead.
2. Right.
2. Okay. So, so let's go from that angle because I think it's kind of somebody's mixed up here a little bit.
It's easy to confuse the cases,
it is.
though. It is.
There's so many right now with very similar type characters in it. Yeah, I mean, how does this grown man build his entire identity around this woman who is barely his wife for a short period of time? A very narrow-minded individual. I mean, I think Siobhan spelled it out pretty good the other day, the dark tetrad, as she called it, where you have the narcissism, the Machiavellianism, and the sociopath traits all there. Yeah, I mean, that really, on the surface, obviously we can't diagnose, very much seems like this guy. Like, he pretty much fits those molds. And if you're looking through the prism of someone like that, if you can somehow wedge your way behind that prism for a moment and go, how is he seeing this shit? It's a pretty scary world. It's a pretty scary way to look at things. But if you can kind of see like, oh, well, A plus B equals Q in that language, this is how they operate. I mean, I think we probably have all run into people, men specifically, who can get very obsessive on someone who has wronged them. I remember working with some people, nobody you guys actually knew, but I remember one guy I worked with that was just, he got angry. If he felt he was wronged by a woman, whether it be simply on a dating app or whatever, it was, he never acted out towards them. It was always like internal and then like to the social circle around him, which happened to be people he worked with. But it was unhealthy. And it was like, dude, take a breath. Like, it's okay. Like, people can have opinions. And usually it was called for. Like, the rejection was called for because of some sort of creepy or inappropriate, socially inappropriate behavior towards that person. But that person was never able to take any sort of introspection on themselves and go, maybe it's me. Maybe I should change my ways. And people like this never do that. So what do I make of McKee? Someone who is incapable of being introspective in any way, shape, or form, and is simply a wound collector and will always be the victim. And I can guarantee if this goes to trial or wherever the hell he ends up for the rest of his life, he will never be the one that was wrong. In his mind, she will always be the one who had it coming in his mind.
100%. And this case is really bringing to the forefront the fear that women have. And I know men can have the fear of, the crazy bitch woman, who is out to get you. But for the most part, the majority are women who are afraid of their ex. And this is really bringing it to the forefront. And as sad as I am for this family, this is a really good discussion for our community to have. It's a really good reminder for women that we're friends with. Hey, what are you doing for self-defense? What are you doing to protect yourself? Because a lot of times it's not the stranger hiding in the bush. It's the person who is pissed that you rejected them. You didn't go on a date with them. You looked at them funny at the bar. Whatever. It's somebody It's fucking terrifying. It just is. You guys have given me shit because I have, now 7 knives and several guns and a fighting baton. I mean, I have all kinds of weapons around me. And one of the things that I've had done in my life is I've been put in a chokehold so I can learn how to get out of it, like a real one. Yeah. And you guys just kind of look at me and go, that is the weirdest date night I've ever heard of. Yeah, it is. But it's
now
useful.
You've added in it's a date night. Yes, it made it even weirder. We should just play back that little 10, 15 seconds right there. You guys have given me shit because ... I have 7 knives. I have guns. I have a katana. I have a. Yeah, you're right. We've given you shit.
You absolutely have. But at the end of the day, I have a level of confidence that if something happens, I'm going to be startled and scared, shitless, absolutely. But in that moment, I'm going to go, okay, I've been here before. I know what I need to do. There's a lot of women watching right now who go, I have no idea what I do. Today's the day you need to find out. This case brings it to the forefront that, ladies, we do have that crazy person in our background. So inform yourself, be educated, so that you're not going to be terrified in that moment. I hope it never happens to any one of us.
Sure.
But just be ready. You don't have to be paranoid. Just be prepared.
Yes, I agree with that.
When we had Siobhan on earlier this week, I think, Stacey, you asked her, what can women do, or even men, in a situation with a relationship like this where, and your situation with, protect yourself, learn some things. That was one of them. Report, right? You got to get it in. You got to report it so that it's on record and all that kind of stuff. But one of the things that I know is an option is to basically change your entire life. Like run away, move away, change your name. And all I have to say to that is we should be able to do better as a nation than expect somebody to change their identity, move their life to another location just because they're afraid of someone. Like,
isn't that
there's got to be, it is terrible. And unfortunately, it is advice that you have to give someone, because that's about all you can do in a case like this. She moved 200 miles away and it still wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough. She also had another man in her life, a protector with her. It wasn't enough. I don't know that it ever is enough.
That's been one of the questions, and I'm just going to throw it out there, not singly attributing it to one person, but I know I've seen it a gazillion times on our comments, is there anything she could have done differently? I don't know that there is. I mean, at the end of the day, the only thing I said was, and I'm not saying it's a realistic option, I guess be more proficient in weapons training. I don't, but even then, if someone shows up at your house in the middle of the night and starts shooting you, you're fucked then too. I mean, so I don't really know. I mean, other than, kind of what Todd had brought up there, change your name, nobody should have to do that.
No.
Nobody should have to do that, but the reality is, I think, and that's the shitty pill that so many have to swallow is, yes, you shouldn't have to do that, but if you truly want to be safe from this person, you have to do that, because the local police aren't going to cover you, and we break it down to, they shouldn't have to either. They have limited resources. They're trying to protect a whole community. They're not your private bodyguards. They're not equipped to do that. It's not a way the system functions, and I don't think every town in the country it's realistic, and I don't think anybody's suggesting this, but it's not realistic to expect them to have some sort of way to have anybody at a whim, here's your private protector. That's not realistic either. But is it real? And again, it comes with living in a society. It's the trade-off. Is it realistic either? Do we want to go to a place where one person is saying, this person is making me extremely uncomfortable, whatever it may be, they need to stay away from me. We have that. We have orders. We have courts saying, if you do this, you're going to be arrested, and people still violate it all the time. I feel like we have almost every system in place does exist, but does it work as perfectly as it should? No, but how do you make that perfect without errors on either side? Because you can err tremendously either way on this. You could be locking up people left and right because one person is paranoid, one person is extremely anxious and has a very stilted view of reality, where they think somebody's after them and they're not. And there's absolutely no threat whatsoever. And their cognitive distortions of reality, because this exists just as much as the abuse people do. Cognitive distortions. Plenty of people have them about other people. And there's plenty of people I've met in my life who are very distorted on the threat that they view other people pose to them. And it's not based in reality. It's based on emotion. It's based on fear. It's based on paranoia. It's based on a gazillion things. It's not based in reality. So you can't just go around and start rounding up folks because somebody over here has a distorted version of reality. But then you do have the situations where it's not distorted. It's very accurate. But then you're asking this third party to make the judgment call on he said, she said, and what's accurate. So we kind of have this place where, we have things that warning systems and all that. but I don't know how you really truly do get a better grip on some of these things. I just don't. I don't have the answer to it. I feel like we should do better at this. But again, it seems to be kind of a band-aiding the problem than actually solving the problem. Ultimately, it probably goes back to mental health understanding and awareness and education and all that from a very young age. And you start that at very young generations and hope future generations do better than we did. Because ultimately, that's the heart of these problems.
It'll be interesting to find out if this goes to trial, et cetera, if there were any other people in his life who felt this way about him. Yeah. If something was going on at work, if something was going on in another relationship, we've already had an ex-girlfriend come out and say, oh, he seemed fine, hard to connect with him, whatever. It'll be interesting. Yeah. It'll be interesting to find out if other people felt afraid of this guy and what those situations were.
I agree. I think that's a big point on this is what is the track record? What is the pattern? Again, and even with patterns, what do you do? I just did a piece this morning that'll be going up on Monday, or if you're on Substack, you can watch it now, about kind of the passing the trash thing. Excuse me. It's, how we were talking about that with Devil's Den and the education system, where they kind of keep passing teachers from district to district or state to state, and there's nothing that follows them. Their track record does not follow them. The next school doesn't know any disciplinary action or complaints or whatever. That exists in the medical system too. Every single medical system is state by state. So we have 50 different boards in every state, and your path doesn't always follow you. It's very discombobulated. Some states have some sort of shared tracking, like our education system does. I think there's like 26 states in the education system that share information now. I think it's even less in the medical world, where you can be, you can have your license revoked in X state for whatever, and your state over, you can go and get a license and perform the same horrible surgeries you've performed, and maim people left and right, and nobody's the wiser because there's no way for them to look into it prior to hiring you. So it's very uncomfortable to understand how that system works, but it's rampant. There's problems that go far beyond McKee here, because there's hundreds, if not thousands, of doctors that operate with that sort of immunity, if you will, because they know how to work the system.
Yeah, and I want to point out, Heather in our chat really brought up a good point, and then made a point afterwards. She said maybe the vows with the edge keep them private. And she said, I don't think I'm victim blaming. Maybe I'm paranoid. No, you're not. You're not paranoid. I think that's a really good suggestion to maybe quell somebody who is just digging and digging for stuff. And Tony, I didn't mean to sidetrack you, but I thought that was a really good comment. Maybe the social media aspect of this, you're making it really easy for somebody to stalk you, to find out what you're doing in your life. In the old days, they literally had to sit outside your house. They had to track you. They had to follow you. Now they just pick up their phone. What's she up to today?
And that's good advice for anybody, whether you've got a weird guy in your life, an ex or something like that, or just living your life. Just really be careful about what you share.
I think that's the reality, and in to play devil's advocate on it, the arguments go, well, why should they have to? Why should they have to? Why should they have to mute themselves or not share their truth or their reality? You don't have to, but understand you putting it out there in that way, shape, or form for the world to hear and consume might also mean the person that is done these things to you could also hear it, and they may not take kindly to it, and you may get a reaction out of them that you're not happy with. That's beyond you. You can't control that part of the equation. All you can do is control your contribution to the equation. Correct. And if you never put the equation on the board, they can't solve it. So should you have to? No, you shouldn't have to.
No.
I completely agree, but it is what it is. You're not going to, you can't just say that, well, because this shouldn't be, then it won't be. No, you got to deal with reality on reality's terms, and that's reality. If you're going to put it out there, you have someone who could be easily triggered by something like this. And it sounds like she knew, and I'm not blaming her either.
No,
but I think I can understand that moment. I mean, I deal with it the same. I mean, I don't worry about these sort of things. I don't feel like any of my exes are out there to do anything like this. So, but I mean, who the hell knows? But I don't worry about that. But it's taken me years to kind of share some of my story, and I still kind of tell in bits and pieces of some of the shit that I've gone through.
Yeah.
But that is a very real thought that ran through my mind is, do I want to put this out there? But it's like, you know what? I'm going to put bits and pieces out because I think that will help others. Others can relate to it, and they know that they're not alone, and then they can hopefully get some help or go down a path and realize, okay, I can do better than this. I don't need to live in this hellscape and think it's normal. So I think there's a lot of power in sharing stories, and more power to anybody who does. But the reality is, yes, you do have to consider what the possible consequences could be for doing that. Was she thinking of that in the vows? I don't know. I think she thought, this is just my guess, she's telling her fucking story. This is the journey that led her to where she was. It's the Rascal Flatts song, God Bless the Broken Road in a fucking vow, is what it is. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, and there's nothing wrong with sharing that. It's scary that someone could be triggered by that. But look, it took him 8 years, to get there. But it certainly does. It is interesting. I know some people did some analytics searching on this, and right before the murders, if the analytics searching is accurate, their wedding video online had a bunch of views from the same place right before. Somebody watching the vows over.
It was feeding the beast. It was putting fuel on the fire.
And if the allegations are accurate, the views of where it was coming from was where McKee was, in the city he was living in. So I wonder who was watching that over and over and over until he gets in his car because he's so that he drives 300 miles, And
again, we're not victim blaming her. She had every right to have that video and that moment where she is pledging her love to somebody who actually freaking loves her. That's great. That's wonderful. But maybe putting it online for public consumption is where the beast got built.
And I think you have a generational, I mean, it's not like they're super young. They're close to my age. I do think you have some generational shift there. You have some where it's like almost insane to think that would be something you should or shouldn't do. But to the rest of us who lived in a world before that existed, it's like, yeah, I kind of like that world better before everybody posted every random fucking emotion they had online for everybody to consume along with them.
For us Gen Xers, we're starting to get a little bit too much into that mode. We are doing way too much on Facebook. Facebook has turned into the kind of the Gen X elderly place, as some people have said.
And I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how generations continue to flow with this way of thinking. Because I do wonder if we're going to have a generation at some point that says, why the fuck are you all so obsessed with telling everybody how you feel online? Or it's just going to be normal completely. And it's like, why wouldn't you do this? It's going to, because I could see the pendulum swinging the other way too, where it's like, yeah, that's private, Mom. Or it's like, God damn it, Grandma and Grandpa are online telling everybody about all their shit again. I wish they would just get off the social media, those damn social media generations. I could see it swinging that way. You don't know.
Hey, made some cookies today. Here's what they look like.
Get off the Facebook, Grandpa. Nobody wants to hear your thoughts. Yeah, I don't know. It could be interesting.
You're out of the will. Okay.
Exactly. And then they find him dead, which is how that tends to go in a lot of.
And then we end up talking about it.
Exactly. So, all right, you guys, thanks for weighing in and thanks for giving us your questions. Obviously, keep them coming on social media on all of our cases. We do read them, we do watch them, we incorporate them into the shows and the directions that we take and the questions that we ask our experts every single day here on the program. You can weigh in on YouTube, on our channel there, Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi, or on our Substack. It's absolutely free to join right now. There's no paywall for a limited time, so do join us there. And you get our videos a day in advance before everybody else, and they're ad-free. hiddenkillers.substack.com. The link is in the description. Apple Podcasts, take us with you as well. Leave us a review there if you don't mind. It helps us in the rankings, and it helps signal to other folks that you guys appreciate our reporting. And so if you like it, please do take the 2 seconds and leave us a review there. We thank you in advance. Or if you've already done it, thank you very much. All right, until next time, for Todd and Stacy, I'm Tony Bruschi. We will talk again real soon.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Bruschi and the Hidden Killers podcast.